Hello YouTube, this is a 2010 Chevy Equinox. It has a ton of blow-by and is using a quart of oil every tank full, approximately, maybe more. Took it to the dealer. They wanted $4,200 to re-ring it, which might be what it needs. But my other daughter has a Jeep, and we did Seafoam in it, this stuff in the cylinders, and let it sit overnight, and it stopped using oil. It was using quite a bit of oil. I got to get the camera so it faces my face. But, so I took off all the plastics. They're on the floor. Really easy to do. Just a clamp around the throttle body and a clamp around the air filter. And what I'm going to do now is pull the spark plugs, coil packs and spark plugs, and run a leak down test just to see get a baseline on it. And then I will do the Seafoam treatment. Put a half a can of Seafoam in each one of those cylinders and crank it back and forth by hand, so the pistons go up and down a couple inches, and let it sit for an hour, and then do that same thing again, and then let it sit overnight, making sure that all the fluid doesn't slip past the rings. I might have to refill the cylinders, or really put a little bit more in each one. And so I'm going to go through that process now. So there's the engine. I'll try and put you where I can get a good... All right, I'm back. I'll zip these things off. There's a loose, a little tighter, a little tighter. I kind of videotape most of this as I'm going. I'm going to try not to remove those connectors, but pull these things out. Wiggle, wiggle. Yeah, pop. One. Wiggle. Pop. There's two. Wiggle, wiggle. Pop. There's three. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. No pop. There it is. Go that way. Spark plug's way down there. So I grab my tool, pause it for a second, and I'm back. And let's break them free. Maybe. Oh my. Nice and tight. Put the anti-seize on these when I get them out. We've had this car now for maybe 10,000 miles. Bought it from the Subaru dealership on Oracle, Tucson. And they warrantied it until it broke. Then they didn't warranty it anymore. But that's not. Gave us a warranty. And this didn't happen during the warranty. So we did go to GM as well and asked them if they could do anything, and they said no, it's got over 100,000 miles and it's past 2019. Those are the two choices you had. If you brought it to us before 2019 and it had less than 100,000 miles on it, that was the extended agreement they made for this issue of your rings going bad for these Ecotech motors. At least that's what they told me. So I thought I would give it a try. This only cost me like $26 for the Seafoam and another 30 bucks or so for oil. So we'll replace the oil when I'm done here. I won't start it up with all that Seafoam in there. I don't know if that would be very helpful. I'll drain it out, push the cylinders around with little spark plugs in them, put the pistons around, not the cylinders. You can't push cylinders very well. Like I said, I think these were really tight. These are probably factory, but we don't know. Bought it with 100,000 miles on it. It's got 110 now. So now all those are down in the hole. I'll have to run and get my magnet back in a minute. All right, I'm back. Now let's see if these come out of here. Oh, look at that. Well, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. I'll focus in on it. It's pretty dirty. Dirty brown, but it's not really worn much, I wouldn't say, if you ask me. I'm not sure if that's going to focus. Yeah. I just figure it's focused down here and it's not going to move. That one's still in there. This one looks just like the other. They may have been changed. Maybe Subaru did that when they fixed the car up. So it's still tight in there. Grab my wrench. Displace my wrench. Where's my wrench? Over here. That's better. Oh, they all look exactly the same. A little bit. It's got kind of a white spot of black on it. I'd say they're all the same. He's had no problems with it at all. It runs good, other than suddenly running through a whole bunch of oil. It ran a little bit down, but she'd be able to go between oil changes, and that was enough. But this one just kind of hit her by surprise. Oil light came on, she called me. I said, put oil in it, come home, and then we'll look at it. But with oil, it's fine. Still drives fine. Don't have issues whatsoever. All right, let me get my other tool set up. Put you on pause. So I'm going to be using this cylinder leak down tester from Maddox. Obviously, I got this at, pretty sure I got this at Harbor Freight. Seems to work though, so I'm happy with it. So this cylinder tester, the picture of it there, is pretty interesting. You add air into this port here, and this port hooks up to this hose, which screws into each cylinder, one at a time. And you check and see basically what the difference is. I mean, if you put your pressure up to 50 psi and you got 50 psi holding, you got a good cylinder. If you put it up to 50 psi and you only are going down 5 psi, it's still pretty good. From my understanding, 10% is not bad. I'm feeling I'm going to get maybe 50 on mine and then see a nice 40 or 35 on these, since there was so much blow by. And I'll show you that as well in this picture on my video somewhere. So we'll start with this one in the front of the motor. Screw this down inside. Hook it on the gauge. Let me put you back a little bit so you can see more picture. Put it on the gauge, not an easy task. There, locked it in place. Add the air hose. Now this air hose is got 100 psi in it right now. So that should be all right. Get me up where I want to be. Make sure this is turned down. All right. I don't know if you can see that up there. Maybe it gets a little bit better of an angle here. We'll try that. And what I'm going to do now, just crank this little thing down and see what I get. I don't even hear any air going in. So the other thing I want to do is open up here. I'll have to clean it off before I put it back on. And I do hear this. I do hear a hiss out of the oil. Right now I'm at 20 psi, 30 psi, 40 psi. There's 50. And something's definitely not working. Either it's not getting pressure or something got plugged, because that's not what I expected. It's not just blowing through. That would be not what I would be expecting. Pause this and look at that. All right, so if the cylinder is good, this holds the same pressure as the front. If it's bad, you're going to see some leakage. If you have the valves in the wrong place, you're going to see that, which is what I saw. I got my valves in the wrong place. I do have to make sure that cylinder is at top dead center and cylinder, well, the valves are closed, basically. So I'll go through that process now. Actually, what I'm going to do is try each cylinder to see if I've got one that's at top dead center. Or, if not at center. It needs to be replaced. Let's try this one here. You're still running, okay. I could cheat. Can you guys see this? Can you see this over here? When I blew on it, that was my cover. He just blew off. That's funny. We'll put that back on. We obviously know that one's got the intake open. I would have known this wouldn't have been as easy as I thought. All right, that one's pretty full. I mean, there's no air going through that one. So the valves are closed on there. Let's see what this one looks like. Valves are closed on there. Pretty closed. Let's try it on those two and see what happens. I gotta get to a position where I can figure out how to crank this thing over by hand. Definitely don't do it by motor. Have to get changed. All right, what do we get when we do this one? Oh, you also have to hold the cylinder from cranking because it just turned. It went open. So let me pause it while I see how I get on the front end of this engine. All right, so I got the number 3 in that order up to a top dead center and holds pressure. So now I'm going to have to hold the crank at the same time that I'm running the test. I have to get a new connector here because that's a pain. So I'm going to take my left hand, put in this wrench on that crank bolt, which I can just barely get. And I'm on it, and if it goes the other direction, then I'll have to start over. Adding pressure, both going up. All right, starting to push my fingers. Okay, we're gonna go to 50 psi, and it's at 40. That's good enough for me. And I will go over here and write that one down. Grab my wrench again. Test time. Number 3. Number 3 is 50, 40. That's what, 20%? That's not good. I've seen worse. Now pause you while I crank the engine over a few more times with my hand, trying to get one of those cylinders at the top again. All right, so 1 and 4 are at the top. Try this 0.6 here to give you a little more room. 1 and 4 at the top. So we got to screw the little thing down in there and see which one of them is got the valves closed. I can blow air into that one. Very little air. That one's solid. So same procedure. Hold the crank down on this end. And Turn on the air. Run it up to 50. 50 and 44. Not bad. Not bad. You want to go to 60 just for fun? 70. 70 and 60, but 50 and 44 I can calculate that one. Write that down over here. Now I gotta crank around, so I'll pause on it for a little bit. Alright, I cranked it around. This one's at TDC. Pretty much, I put a little wooden dowel down in there to check when it comes up. Now let's see if it holds air. It sure does. Should have just checked it. Might as well check this one too. It's the only two left. It blows out like it's supposed to. So in this hole, so we did 3 and 4. I'll plug this one in here. Lock that in place. Put a wrench on the crank. Left hand. Well, you know how that is. I'm not a good mechanic if I drop it more than once. I think that's the 4th time. There we go. And on the crank bolt. Nope, not on the crank bolt. Alright, so why don't you hold it like it? I'm going to edit this out later, I'm sure. Darn thing weren't low enough to the ground already. Alright. Stay on there. No, I don't want to. I'm going to hold that on there and see what happens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is 42. I can hear it blowing by the... I can smell ya too. Yeah. All right. So at 50, it's at 42. If I turn my head just right. Write that one down. Turn the engine a little bit. Wait a minute. I'll let go of my finger. Oh, it's not going to. Number 2 is 50 and 42. Those are my other numbers. So, pause you on this one. Well, the last one there turned up. By my calculations, it should be on a compression stroke. I've been wrong before. Solid as can be. Hold on to the bolt in question. Yeah, gotta use your left hand. Alright, I got that puppy. Crank it up. 10, 30, 40, 50 gets me 42. Oh, move it around a little bit. Yeah, it holds at 42. Well, it tells me they're not too bad. Number 1 is 50, 42. All right, so that's our baseline. Can I tell if it changes much? No, probably not. But now I can put some goop down in there. Seafoam to the rescue. Now I'm gonna get a little tube so I make sure I get it down in the right place and a funnel. I'll be back. So we're back. Now I just got through spraying some brake parts cleaner down in the holes. They were very clean, but I put enough in there that they would go to the cylinders, I hope. And now I'm going to crank the motor by hand again. Oops, gotta get the flashlight back. Let's see where I'm going. And I'm going to do it. This one goes to this cylinder. This one goes the one way down there. And when those two are the same height, voila, we're halfway up. That's my goal. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it there besides my nose. I'll edit it out if you see my nose. How's that? You see little sticks. And right about there. Now, everything clean. Can't use those for marshmallows anymore. Now, let's pour some seafoam in there. Mix this with that brake parts cleaner, and I wonder what we'll end up with. Here's a really good cleaner. Strike one. Let's see. Flashlight again. Oh, I can see a lot of it in there. Your turn. One there. Almost full. One on each side. And another cane. You have to shake this stuff? Or does it explode if you do? Darndest thing is to get those little caps out of there. That one only went halfway. As long as it stays halfway, I'm fine. All right, you seen it here, boys and girls. That's all there are. 2 cans down the tubes. And we'll let it sit for a few hours. I will actually keep an eye on the level of the liquid. One of my trusty sticks. Let's see what we got there. Oh, we got about 1.5 inches. Ooh. Went up to 2 inches on that one. Oh, about 2 inches on that one. Furry things off. And about 1.75 inches on that one. And grab the wrench. Move the crate back and forth a little bit. Back to my light again. I knocked my camera. Alright, this give you an out of focus nose picture. I'm sorry. Just want to back and forth just a little bit, and we'll hold it there for an hour. Maybe I'll go wax my wife's car. 12 hours later. I don't know how they do that on that show. Looking at the engine. It's just a soaking. I'll take my little stick and stick it in the hole. See how much fluid's left in there? Come on, down it goes. Oh. Well, it started off as 1 inch. Looks more like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but looks like about 1/2 inch on there if I get a reflection going. So maybe it was 1.5 inches and it's gone down to about 1/2 inch. I'm going to let it soak until it's gone, and that's probably about noon today. Probably better if we went like 24 hours like this, but my daughter wants her car back, as it is, so that she can run out to the fair. Well, catch you on the flip side. See you in about 3 hours. Alrighty, I cranked it over without the spark plugs in it. cleaned out the holes after I did that because it was messy. And now we're going to run the rest of our tests. And if I do one cylinder and it's the same as it was, then I might not do the rest because it may just need to blow out. So we'll put it all back together and drive it and see what happens. But for now, we're going to run the test. Hello again. All right, so I'm putting the spark plugs back in. I dropped them with a magnet in there and lined them up, and then I'm tightening in my hand. I tried to do that leak down test, and even though I had the cylinders on top dead center, she leaked like a sieve. So she went from maybe a 20% worst case on one of them, number 3, to a 80% worst case, because I'm pretty sure doing this process might have gotten some goop slightly holding the valves open. So we'll see what happens when we fire it up. And our main concern is blow by and oil usage, so we'll see what happens there. Plugs are in. Give me snugness. Not quite as tight as they used to be. My hand's cramping up, so I must need more water or something. I'll probably have this whole thing apart again next week. Put new pistons in it if this doesn't work. Not pistons, but rings. So let's put them all back together here. I cleaned out the spark plugs some. They were a little cruddy on the inside. Looked all right on the outside. The inside was cruddy. Now I have to find the screws I took out. They're just laying nearby. Well, apparently they're not lying nearby. Where did I put those puppies? Meeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch some screws. There they are. Hiding under my tester. Zip these puppies in. All right, those are in. So the oil lever is a little full now because of that, but I'm still going to crank it up and just see what happens out the back end. I better wipe that off. And unfortunately, I'm not going to let you sit there and watch because I don't want my phone falling in. So I'll put you over here. And if you can't see, let's see. On these boxes. Should be safe there, I would think. Keys. It's going to give me an engine code because it doesn't have that stuff turned on. Oh, wait a minute, it's not going to see any airflow. It's still trying. No blue smoke out the back. Well, she starts. I think she's causing herself an issue because it doesn't feel any airflow. And put the rest of it back together and see where we get going. Oh, first time. Then my daughter wants me to clean up the engine compartment. Oh yeah, sure. All right, so everything's tightened and lightened up. Three corners, and then the oil cap stops this side. Then we got an air box that goes on. Down here. Tighten that up. Wiggly down and on. Flathead screwdriver. I think they call it flathead. I guess it's a standard screwdriver. You probably can't hear me because I'm not using my hearing aids. So you have to work on your there. If everybody needs to know how to put the air box on and everything, that's about it. So, let's start it up one more time. Seems to be running good. Go by. Wow. Maybe it's because it's cold. Let me go warm it up. But right now there is no blow by. I'll get back with you. Alright, well, here's the old engine. Went out and warmed it up, raced it up and down the street, spit and sputtered a little bit. Let it run for a little bit, and then I'm going to change the oil on it and see what happens. Got a little bit of, not sure why it's doing that, except for it's probably got too much oil in it. Doesn't like it. Let's see what this is. Wow, would you look at that? No more blow-by. I don't even feel it. Actually, it feels like it's kind of sucking. I think that's a good sign. Well, that part was a success from the beginning. I mean, it actually is not pumping smoke out now. But the proof in the pudding is after we drive it a little bit, see if it uses some of that oil. So we'll change the oil and go from there. So I just wanted to show folks part of this test. I took some Seafoam and I stuck those spark plugs in them, wiggled them around a little bit. And I didn't do anything other than wiggle them around a little bit, and look at all that stuff that's in the bottom of the Seafoam. So does it get the carbon off the piston rings? Well, my little test earlier where I did it seemed to work. This stuff just kind of fell out of the inside of the spark plug down between the porcelain and the metal. So I would say it actually loosens it up. But that's just one observation. Hello Equinox folks, got a question for you. Okay, so I'm going to do this. You'll probably see this. The cap's already off, but you can see this. You can even see it in the video a little bit. This is. Wow, would you look at that? No more blow-by. Do this. You'll probably see this. The cap's already off, but you can see this. You can even see it in the video a little bit. This is. Wow, would you look at that? No more blow-by. Do this. You'll probably see this. The cap's already off, but you can see this. You can even see it in the video a little bit. This is. Wow, would you look at that? No more blow-by.